I am a racist. Absolutely. I am a racist. The truth is, for quite some time now, I have preferred black people over white people. That's true. Um, I prefer them as presidents. I prefer them as writers, poets, musicians, dancers, friends. Um, and I'm going to work on that. But I'm going to try to speak from my heart about something that I think some people are having a hard time with. And that is my white brothers and sisters who don't necessarily quite understand why Black Lives Matter is not saying that all lives don't matter. I also want to talk about the the responsibility of being an ally to uh, minority groups that we are not a part of. We cannot really completely ever totally understand what they've been through, but we want to be an ally, right? And I fear sometimes, especially with what's going on right now, a lot of people are sometimes scared somehow because they think they're going to get it wrong. They don't know what to say. You know, it's I've often joked that when you're gay, we're just happy to have any allies. Even when they get it wrong or they jump on the bandwagon because it's the latest trend, we're just like, hey, come on, you can say anything. It can be a little bit wrong, but we'll take you. And I think sometimes it's a little tougher with the issue of race, perhaps. But this is what I want to say from my heart, and hey, the first thing we've all got to do is accept that none of us are going to get anything right all the time. Everything comes down to intention. You might not say things in a way that really are appropriate, and somebody may give you a hard time for that. But look, at the end of the day, what really matters is your intention. And if your intention is coming from a pure place, then hopefully that will be recognized and people will see that. But I feel that we all have a responsibility to speak up for each other. And we shouldn't be put off by the fear that we're going to get it wrong. What's happening right now is coming from obviously hundreds of years. Somebody posted recently, I don't understand why everybody's still protesting when everybody collectively agrees that, this killing of George Floyd was wrong. It's like, yeah, at this point, I don't think it's just about the loss of one man. This is about, a million times, however many millions of George Floyds, and years and years and years of systemic racism that, to be honest, I can't really completely ever relate to because I'm a white man. Now, I'm a white gay man, which gives me a little bit of an advantage in understanding what it feels like to be marginalized, misunderstood. There are countries where, my minority group get, hung or executed just for being what they are. Okay, we're not in a perfectly ideal scenario, but it's not the same thing. I can butch it up and go into any situation, and I don't have to fear that people will immediately look at me and peg me as gay and make assumptions about me because ultimately I can hide. Well, when you're a person of color, that's not something you can do. So it's a different thing, and people have been living with this for so long. And I think this, obviously, the recent events have sparked, just, basically kind of opened up the floodgates of something that's been going on for so long. And that is the reason why this is happening. It has become much bigger than George Floyd. It's now a movement, as I saw recently, not a moment, And now I want to be a part of this movement. And there aren't, a lot of things I can personally do to change the world. But what I keep asking myself is, well, what can I do? what are the things that I can contribute? One thing I created a little video. That was something I could do. I spent a lot of time creating a video that highlights the words of Maya Angelou, somebody who's been a real inspiration to me, and that's something I could do. I'm an artist. I can make this little video as well and put it out on my social media platforms, and it may end up being a complete disaster, but it's being proactive in some way. But I think what's really important, if nothing else, is accepting that what's happening is not a political issue, shouldn't be a partisan political issue. I don't understand, and I never have understood, why is the environment a partisan political issue? It affects all of us. It's like, how has this become like, why is this a sort of liberal versus conservative? No. The environment is like something that's affecting all of us. Well, racism is something that I also feel is just a human issue. And I don't really understand why it would ever be politicized. I think all of us need to be on the right side of this. And if you don't fully understand, one of the things that you can do is educate yourself. I've always loved African-American literature, and poetry and things. So even, literally for the last 30 years I've been reading, and that really helps because, reading is such a great way to get inside the heads of a different group, different beliefs. You really do learn a lot, through reading and connecting with characters who perhaps will take you into a world that you have never been and you will never go, but the books do, and also talking. This is the case for everybody. I've always said, one of the most powerful things you can do to affect change is to be in some way part of that change. And I've seen repeatedly people posting on their Facebooks, well, if you voted for Trump, just go ahead and unfriend me. If you, believe this or that, then, and I understand the passion behind it because it's coming from a place of frustration and strong convictions. I understand this, but it's not ultimately going to help anything if we totally close down all communication between ourselves and people who maybe think differently than us. The real way to change things is really the human way, and that is to connect with people. And so as a gay man, sometimes over the years I've been friends with people who were not necessarily comfortable with that. They didn't have a liberal upbringing. Maybe they were very religious, and they had a very different perception of what gay was, or whatever. But by getting to know me, by me not immediately cutting them off, just because as soon as I realized they weren't part of my tribe, or maybe they weren't, totally gonna say the right things, or it's having a certain amount of tolerance for something so that you can educate people by becoming friends with them and or at least keeping the lines of communication open. And I always suggest, like, okay, well, if you don't understand something, if you think all Muslims are, go meet a Muslim and talk to them and get to know them, because when you develop these friendships and you get to know people, they're not just characters or faces that you see on the news rioting or being gunned down in a mosque. It's like, they're actually people that are in your life. And this is so important that we, more than ever, keep the lines of communication open between each other, because this is the most powerful way that we are going to understand each other. We will never all be able to walk a mile in each other's shoes, let's face it, but we can hear the stories of what that walk has been like for others. And when we hear them directly from the mouths of the people that we're getting to know, it helps us understand, helps us to have a compassion for that experience that we will never ourselves perhaps have, but you can't ever really be the same once you get to know people who have been through it. And now I have witnessed, all of my adult life, and probably when I was young too, I just didn't, wasn't even aware of it. But systemic racism, you can't deny that it's there. It's there. And I have plenty of friends who have told me this stories, and I have myself been in situations where I have experienced, unfortunately, the racism that my friends were having to endure, and this is something people have been living with every day, every time they go out, every time they go anywhere. So, I guess what I want to say is it's like if you're a very conservative person politically, um, accepting that racism exists uh, and that it's wrong and that it's something that we need to change and that it's unjust and it's immoral and it's the opposite of Christianity, if that's your philosophy, and does not in any way whatsoever um, keep you from being a staunch Republican or an absolutely dedicated conservative. Where it's I don't understand how this is a partisan issue. Um, we all have a responsibility to each other, and so regardless of your politics or how you think the government should spend money, where that money should go or whatever, we all need to get on the right side of this. And if you're white and you're a little nervous about how to do it and what to say, I don't know. As a white man, all I can say is doing nothing is worse. Make sure your intentions are pure. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong. But at least you tried. Step up. Recognize that this is happening, and it's happening for a reason. And, and we cannot deny that this has been going on for a long time, and none of us can, for 1 second, pretend like this isn't really messed up. And we all have a responsibility to do everything we can to fix it. So, say something. Reach out. Learn more. Don't be scared of it. Black lives matter. All lives matter. Of course they do. And I could, want to have to say, but gay lives matter every time. But right now, this movement, right now, what's happening right now, this is something about this. Right now, it's like, let's just one movement at a time. We all have a long way to go. Every minority group's got more that they need to achieve. But Black Lives Matter is something we should all be able to stand up and say without feeling like we are in some way diminishing the importance of any other life. Because our black and brown friends, our fellow human beings of color right now, they're hurting, and they need allies. And I would like to say, hand up. I am an ally. I may not always get it right. I will never know what it feels like to be black. I grew up Christian. I'll never know what it feels like to be Muslim, but I dedicate and promise to always try to understand and to always speak up. So, love is the answer. Communication is the next answer. And let's keep our hearts and our minds open, and let's make the world a better place. I'm a racist. What can I say? But everybody is a little bit racist.